Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the channel. And today we've got some interesting entertainments for everybody. We're going to do a bike YouTuber happy hour. And I'm joined by two guests. Let's have you guys introduce yourselves. So whoever wants to go first.
I'm Eric. I'm the creator behind the vlog cycling channel, Spindatt. Just a bunch of bike stuff, hitting things with hammers, trying to do it for as cheap as possible.
And hi everybody, I'm Michael from LockedIn. My channel is predominantly product reviews and just adventure cycling or gravel or basically anything under the sun. It's kind of morphed into different things over the years.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the reason I wanted to gather us all together is like everyone's in lockdown. You're trying to be creative to make content. And, you know, it's tough when you can't ride with folks. So I figured it'd be a fun time to hang out with other fellow bike YouTubers and kind of nerd out and take some questions. We've got three topics I think we're going to talk about. The first one is what your biggest challenge as a bike YouTuber has been. Do you want to go first, Mike?
Sure. For me, I think the biggest thing with, it's kind of it's a lot of different parts, but essentially since I started, and I think me and you both started, what, 8 or 9 years ago at this point, something like that. I think it's morphed to, in the beginning, it was so much independent YouTuber focused to where now there's so many big players in the market to where it's either hard to create content that's original or that's captivating because, you know, we don't have $1 million behind us or multiple, you know, like we don't have Google kind of money to create this content for this platform. So I think that's the biggest thing for me is trying to find our niche within a niche of content to create something that's appealing to the masses as well as like our core demographic. And it's just hard when you're competing again with dollars, you know,
right
at the end of the day.
Yeah. How about you, Eric?
Probably like the toughest part of being like funneled or like pigeonholed into being like a cycling YouTuber is all the other things that I'm into, and like feeling guilty about making some fun content with it. Not that my viewers really ever end up having a problem with it, but it's always in the back of your mind. You're like, man, I've been making cycling content for 4 years now. And like, how many more times can I put an old crusty bottom bracket, like crusty steel frame with like fun things to say about it when like my motorbike's sitting here, or like, you know, when I want to just try something else and still have like the undertones of bike related stuff. Yeah, I mean, it is tough when you're like a creative person and you've got this one topic that you love the most, but all this other stuff that you want to do as well. So
yeah,
totally.
For sure. I'm kind of similar. Like I've got, you know, like I'm into fly fishing, into, you know, watercolor, and I'll try to work them into the channel, but those are always like, those are the videos that don't do as well, you know, because they don't speak to like that core cycling audience.
Yeah. Those are the passion projects.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, like I'm completely like into cars and I'm rebuilding a car right now. I'm like, oh man, I'd love to shoot some content for this. I was like, it's so much work for no one to watch, you know?
Like nobody cares. Like,
yeah, exactly.
cares at all. Like all these cool things that we do, and it's like, no, I'm just really curious about, you know, that thing that's hanging behind you, like that I've seen for the last 15 videos you've never mentioned. I understand you put a full day's work into this video about, you know, skateboarding. But like, what is that frame back there?
No bikes, no likes.
Yeah, like, yeah, exactly.
I think what has to happen is me and Russ have to start trying to skateboard, because I'm pretty sure I bought one when I was like 14 and couldn't ollie and then gave up. So I think that's what
there you go.
A trending thing of me, see who can kick flip first.
Yeah,
oh, geez.
Like the kickflip challenge. Like,
yeah, that's it.
The cyclist kickflip challenge.
So I'm curious, have you guys ever like put your heart and soul into a video and you thought it was going to do killer, but then it just didn't, I mean, the audience didn't respond?
Yes.
Yeah.
like all the time. Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. What do you mean, Russ? Every video. What are you talking about? I'd love them all to get 100,000 views in a day. Yeah, but
but they never do.
Yeah, exactly.
One that like wildly like sticks out in my mind was a video I made called "Your Bike Sucks." Like that was supposed to be like super clickbaity, like a good story to like get people to be upset when they came in, and then it's like, you know, here's this guy made a mean comment. You know, he is the problem with,
right,
you know, people making people feel bad for having to ride something a little bit cheaper while they're getting into it. You know, great message, super fun to shoot. Like, I loved the way it ended. I was like, this one is going to take off because so many people are going to click on it. They're not going to like the title. They need to know. And it was like, you know, 7,000, I don't know what it has now, but I'm like, it didn't really take off. And then like this video I made, like I have a purple KHS that I have. For some reason, everybody loves it. And I just title a video that, and it gets the same amount of views. It was like, like a 2-hour video to shoot.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Just get the Gold Sprint stuff ready and like kind of, come on, everybody, let's just get the Gold Sprint geared up. Boom! Like it's the highest grossing revenue video for the last month. I'm like,
I have totally had like videos like that I just shot on a whim that do super weirdly well. Like I had one that was about, because my channel predominantly in the past was a lot about single speed and fixed gear stuff, because that's how I started. And I did a video after I kind of gotten out of that, that was about, are fixed gears still cool? And that was like a super clickbait. And it literally, the most comments I've ever gotten, and it was just me talking to the camera for like 10 minutes. And that's it. Right. And there was no other footage. I didn't shoot anything else. I was like, you know what? That was like when the like Walmart got fixed gears and like all this stuff. And I just did it. And like, it wasn't everyone took it as like, I hate on all like forms of cycling and you have to be like this elitist. And to me, it was just like, no, the stigma was fixed gears were this like underground, like you knew who you were group. And like, if you saw another fixed gear cyclist, that was like you knew each other, but nobody knew who you were.
Right.
And then I was like, that was the point of the video, but everyone took it as like this whole like me talking shit on everybody. And like it literally has like 50,000 views or something stupid. Like, and I was like, man, I wish I could do that kind of stuff all the time because it was so easy. Like, where like, I'll spend hours on a video like, all right, I need this beautiful like B-roll shot of this, and I gotta show this in detail, and then it gets, you know, a couple thousand or whatever. It's like, yeah, no, every video I think is like that for us at this point. It's like we all try to create quality content, but it's like it's tough when you see the content that might not have as much quality get more views than others, and that's when it gets really rough.
Yeah, one of the videos I did recently that did well was the Shimano or the SRAM derailleur hack. And I think a lot of it was the thumbnail. Like the title was, you know, the hack that SRAM doesn't want you to know, and I put like a censored box.
Genius. Yeah, genius.
Like that's
and
good.
It's like, yeah, and like the content, the B-roll was like pretty boring. It was like an overhead shot and me talking over it. But it was definitely one of those times where I'm like, okay, I'm going to be more intentional about the thumbnail. And what bothers me is like when you know, viewers say, oh, it's too clickbaity. Why are you getting all clickbait? And it's like, it's not clickbait if like the video fulfills. If anything, it's just like writing like a catchy headline. But there's definitely like straddling a line of, you know, does it feel too clickbaity? But does it, you know, at the end of the day, we want people to watch the videos, right? We spend all this time making them. Like, we don't want it to be, you know, the final step in a person not watching it is because of a, you know, unexciting title or thumbnail.
Yeah. True. I think the best was actually my buddy Mario. I think he's actually in the chat. He was telling me about how we're obviously in the, you know, gravel and adventure riding. And so like there was a clip, there was a screenshot from GCN about, it looked like a road link, but like a knockoff version. And it was like something like that was in the title. And I didn't even watch it. He did. He was like, dude, I watched the whole video. There was like 30 seconds about that thumbnail. Like that's where like, I don't like clickbait, but like for us, yes, it might be, we want to obviously engage the audience and get them into the video, but we're also explaining what we're talking about. Like that video that you were just said, you still showed what you were talking about. You know, it wasn't like an oh yeah at the end. It was like, no, this is what the video's about.
Yeah.
I will do the oh yeah clickbait. I'm very okay with it.
Yeah.
Like I'll do it. I have no problem doing that.
I'll do it.
Like zero problem. As a matter of fact, I endorse it. I think we should all be doing it more.
So I'm curious, like, what are your guys' goals with your YouTube channel? Like, is it to do it full time? Are you guys doing it full time already, or like, what's the plan?
I got to do it full time for the last 7 days. I was laid off.
How was it? Was it amazing?
It was the best. It was the most stressful, fun time I've ever had. I was like, wow, I'm screwed. Okay, like let's start like all these ideas. I was like, okay, and it like it's amazing. I was like, okay, April daily, like every day I'm gonna put a video out. You know, if it's just because I ride my bike every day, like there's going to be some sort of cycling content. All my stuff is like pretty garbagey, so it will probably break. And like, I'm like, boom, that's like 5 minutes of content. Like I can talk for the other 5, and then I can put 2 ads on the thing. Like,
Gotta get to that 10 minutes.
Yeah, like hit the 10-minute mark, and like, boom, at the start, at the end, and like hopefully people enjoy it, which like it seems most people do. And then I got a call to come like back to my gainful employment job, and I was like,
oh no,
oh, man, shoot.
Awesome.
But yeah, totally. I absolutely like. I would love to be making just good, ridiculous vlog content, mostly surrounded around cycling, for a living. That would be amazing.
Yeah. I think for me, it's been a long time. Like when I started, just as like a backstory, I was around when the partner program wasn't present. And I did a video, and it's one of my most viewed videos, was how to paint your bicycle. Yes. And I got a couple thousand views within like the first couple of weeks. And 10 years ago or whatever it's been at this point, when I originally uploaded it, YouTube actually emailed me and said, hey, would you like to join? And they had you had to be requested basically to adopt to it. And I said, yeah, sure. And that's when it started. So every video I did, I had to go through this like submission process.
Oh, wow.
And that was how it started. Like there wasn't any creator studio. There's nothing that there is now. It was literally, you had to be asked to do it. And since then, everything's really changed. Not to get super into the backstory, but I'll mention it a little bit because it kind of prefaces the story, is I had to rebrand. I used to be called Mike's Bikes. So any originals like in the chat or whatever, that's what I used to be called. I got a lawsuit / cease and desist from Mike's Bikes because I didn't know that they were a big chain at the time. Tried to work with them. They didn't want to. And so I rebranded so I could keep all my content online, but I had to redo my channel. And so since then, it's something where it's a passion project for me. I love doing it. I love having a creative outlet because this is not my full-time job. Would I love it to be? Sure. I think anybody at this point in their life, especially with, online opportunities, would love to meld their passion and their career together. And I think YouTube is a great avenue to do that. I just think it's now, because of all the big players and all the big money that's thrown around, it's harder, but it's not impossible.
Right.
And we are one of the few 3 of us that have done it long enough to kind of grasp that. At different levels of success, depending on how you measure it. And so I think that's where, no matter what you want it to be, it can be that for you if you try and work hard enough and for long enough to break into this now massive market,
Right. It's amazing. It's like, we've had the channel for almost a decade. And at then it was just to post videos and then consider it a job. But when we moved to Montana, Laura took a job with Adventure Cycling. I initially tried to get some freelance work and just wasn't happening in Montana. It's like people are like, who the hell are you? I had like no business network to do video or photography. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to go all in on this YouTube thing. And that's when I took it, 100%, because like at that point, we were living on like a single nonprofit income, which is not very much, so I had to pull my weight. And like that first year, it was just the most, I was doing it full time, kind of not by choice, but just because that's kind of what I had to do. It was hard, like looking at how much time you put into a video and then how much, ad revenue you get. At the time, I was only doing ad revenue. There was no like merch or Patreon or anything. So I was probably making like $3 an hour. If I quantify it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah, I think right now, I think it's such a weird thing where it really has to be this. I tell people that anyone who's ever wants to get into this platform, that you really have to be in love with what you're putting out, because realistically, all of us know this. We'll spend, like we just talked about earlier, hours on a video to get nothing out of it,
Right.
And you might have a video that hits well, that in a year you might make a couple $100 on, great, or sure, more. But it's just like, well, that potential full day of work over the course of however many days, the return is so minimal initially, and it takes so long for you to build up enough to where it's regular, like, kickbacks or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, and then if you take a couple weeks off, which I've done before, it's like gone.
Yeah.
Like, that's the baseline. You're like, okay, cool. I get to, there's $200 a month, maybe.
Yeah.
Like there'll be a month where you're like, nice, I made like I don't think I ever made more than like 700 in a month. And it's like, the next month it's okay. So you're like, I think I made it. Here we go.
I got it figured out.
Like your CPM changes and like COVID-19 happens and nobody's spending any money and you're like,
Yeah. And no, I even had that where I did a video that I've never had got partially monetized. That was a new thing for me.
Yeah.
I did a video about how I was supposed to start this build series for this like monster gravel bike, and my frame got delayed because of the COVID-19. And I made a video about it, and then like I've never had a video not be monetized because like I'm pretty good about all that.
Right.
And then it was, like half monetization, and it said like YouTube said your content might be like what was it? Controversial or something like that. It's just because the coronavirus was in the title of how the coronavirus affected me and my bike build.
Yeah,
like that. Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you guys ever watch your videos again? Like after you post it, do you ever watch it again?
I do. Like I tend to be obsessive about it. Like I'll post something and then watch it and be like, next time I'll probably change that, or just
Really? I usually watch it on a different platform just to make sure that like audio or coloring or something will look okay, because I understand that like most everybody's consuming our stuff on mobile devices.
Right.
Yeah.
So I will always watch it after posted, and even though granted it's at the point to where it doesn't really matter if I've messed something up, that it's gonna be on there forever.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I'll once in a while, or if I need to be like in research for a video of like, I think I shot some content about some subject.
Yes.
I'll pull up the old video,
right,
typically on YouTube, instead of like going through my catalog of stuff and be like, okay, well, and I'll sit and watch the ad for 5 seconds and click through. But like that's, I'm just looking for.
That.
Yeah. Like I don't need that penny. Like, all right, I'll click through. I'll probably make more if I watch the whole thing, but we never do. So that that goes.
Like I don't like I upload and delete everything.
Oh really?
Oh
yeah.
Wow, that's bold, man.
And I'm like, gone. Next one.
No, I think okay. So I have to ask this question for all of you. granted, like we're all do different slightly styles of videos, but like I hate listening to the same thing, because granted I do a lot of like piece to cameras, and where I'm doing like I don't script anything, but I'm talking about something or a product or whatever. By the end of it, like I don't want to hear myself anymore.
Yes,
Like,
yes. I'll be editing, like Angelo will be asleep, it'll be like 2 a.m. I'm trying to get a video out at, just the next morning,
sure.
and like I'll have said the same thing, started over and over and over, and
Yep.
I'll be like, enough, and I'll just Eric, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, close, done. Tomorrow morning is when I start dealing with this stupid idiot again.
Oh,
Okay,
man.
I'll give you guys my 2 tips for fast video editing. One is I got like a hardware interface, so it's this thing called the Shuttle Contour. It's got 2 jog wheels, and you can program it. So you can, just have like macros for slow motion or like cutting and trimming and stuff. I mean, you could do it with keyboard shortcuts, but it's so much quicker with like a hardware interface. And my second one is when I edit, I actually edit in double time. Because usually the way I film is like I'll do a piece to camera and put B-roll over it. So my first edit is just for narrative, and I'll do it. I'll do playback in double time, so it sounds like a chipmunk.
Yes.
At that point, I'm just like editing for content. And
Right.
that once I started doing that, it took a long time to adjust because it's weird. But it sped up my editing so much because you don't realize how much time you spend just in playback.
Right.
Oh, no. I actually learned this from another YouTuber, DSLR video shooter. He edits to waveforms.
Oh, yeah.
So what I do, is I blow up the waveform for my whole narrative, and then I just cut out all the dead space in it, so that when I rewatch it for the first time, it's just audio and like me actually talking, and then I can cut out all the mess ups, and it's a lot easier that way. So that there's totally few little hacks you can do to speed this whole thing up.
Do you guys cut in Premiere or Final Cut?
Final Cut.
Final Cut.
Premiere.
In Premiere?
Yeah. I switched to PC for my home computer a couple years ago, so I switched to Premiere, and that's like when Final Cut 7 was great, and then after that I was like, nope, I'm switching over. Like that was it. Like I held on to that as long as I could.
When I first I used Final Cut 7, and then when they introduced 10, I was like, this feels like iMovie, but it's gotten more robust, and I think it's at least for me now, like I'm trained to just edit so fast on Final Cut. So like here's like one of the things I struggle the most with is just like the comments. Like I don't know if you guys get like crappy comments. But...
Oh, always, all the time.
Like, have you developed just some kind of like emotional callus, or how do you what's your processing so it doesn't just destroy your soul every time you upload a video?
I think for me,
or does it destroy your soul? I mean, that's a valid answer too.
That's a very legitimate comment. I think for me, at least, I've done it long enough, and I've been through weird phases of this whole thing where like it doesn't. There's once in a while where someone will get so aggressive that I try to make a joke out of it, and I mean that's really it. Like shout out to my dad if he's watching this, but like he gets more offended than I do. Like he's like, who has this kind of bad day to where they have to comment on your videos? That's like that. But I appreciate it. But at the end of the day, I think for me it's there's been times where I'm not the most like slim athletic cyclist out there. And I made a video after like a major injury I had where I couldn't exercise or work out or ride my bike for months. And I clickbaited the title. It was like, "This is why I'm fat now." Like, there's a joke. Like, I was like, that was it. And like someone was like, and like, that's the thing is like, when I started this channel, I was 20 and I looked great. And like, and I was a lot thinner then. And somebody like mentioned that in a comment, like, "You're a cyclist, you shouldn't be this heavy."
Yeah.
Like that was some comment that somebody made, and I just responded back like, "Thank you for your review. I will use your penny that I just earned for snacks." Like, you know, like, what else do you do? I don't know. Like, it's a weird thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I've kind of go Eric.
I don't find. I mean, I would say they bother me for sure. The ones that actually bother me the most are like, everyone is a keyboard thug mechanic.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
Like everyone, and like, I think for my whole life, my defense mechanism has always been like, okay, poke fun at yourself and laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire video, and make sure you show up, like show every mistake, show everything, so that no one can like call you out for it in the comments. Like, don't hide your shortcomings, enjoy them. And like, even in the last Poseidon video, like trying to put that Altegra stuff together and being like, you know, I can hear my dad saying what was wrong with the other levers. Like, why can't I just leave this alone? Perfectly fine running bike. Now I can't use it. Like all those things. And yet still someone in the comments goes like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't just leave that alone and like just kind of keep it together. I'm like, I said that.
That's the worst part, is like, sometimes I catch myself creating a video, doing a piece to camera, and I can really already anticipate the comments, and then like I pre-address them.
Yeah,
and then there's always one. I was like, no one's gonna be asinine to say that, and then that's like the first comment.
Oh no, 100%. The best is the inner dialogue. If we could all do it at like while we're creating videos, would be amazing, because it's all this. Like we all see it, we all know it's coming, but it's just like, I think that's when you fight through it enough to where you understand, like, this is what I'm going to hear, but this is what I have to say. You know, like that's
It'll be fine. It's going to have to be fine, because like 95% of the people are going to be pumped. Like, honestly, I think probably even the people who make those comments, because sarcasm does not come across in comments at all. And I've made that mistake too, where I'll make like a smart ass comment back to someone and they're like, oh, like you didn't get it. And I'm like, then you feel even more of a prick. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Totally.
The internet.
What a place to be.
Yeah. I don't know what else. Like, what have you guys learned any like life lessons after doing YouTube for a number of years? Like, has it? I don't know.
I think that kind of like backpacks on what you just said. Like, you kind of have to have a thick skin. Like, you're always gonna get ridiculed, and we've all. I mean, I speak for myself. We've all had I've had those moments where, like, back in the day when somebody would say something, I'm like, okay, well, when you have a video that you produce and you make, like, let me know and I'll comment on yours. Like, you know, like, I think it's something where you have to own what you create. You have to be okay with it being in the public eye, and that you have to be all right with everything that comes because of it. You know, we're all doing this because we love it. You know, again, everybody's at different levels of capacity as far as like income based off of that. But I think the fact of we are all creating consumable content for people to enjoy, I think is really what it boils down to. And that is something that is very, you know, it's not a selfish act. Like, for me right now, like, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing it because I love cycling, and I reach out to companies and try to work with them or do whatever capacity of my channel, because I enjoy what I do, and I want to make content that I like making so that it's enjoyable to watch, you know. And I think that's really where you have to be very open and honest, because if you're not, and you're not doing this for the love of it, it's going to come across on camera. I do like minor photography work, and I tell people, like, if you feel awkward, you're going to look awkward. Like, that's how essentially all this boils down to is, if it's not for the love of the game, like, you're not gonna make it. Like, you're not gonna because of comments. You're not gonna make it because you're gonna run out of ideas for content. Like, the other day, I'm sitting at home in quarantine, and I'm inspired by the different people that I watch, and I'm like, oh, I could do a video about that. You know, like that's why I watch it and consume it so often.
Yeah. Yeah, one thing I've learned about myself, I mean, it became like, I had a pretty good sense of like what kind of cyclist I was, but after the whole Dirty Kansas experience where, you know, we'll try this, you know, training for an event thing and like getting a coach and nutrition and you know, a plan and all this stuff, it's abundantly clear that that's not the kind of cyclists that we were. And in the comments, you know, there are a ton of great comments, but also like a ton of really just like shitty ones. People were criticizing us for everything, for, you know, not wearing a jersey, for eating burritos instead of goo, for riding it in flat pedals. And it made me realize like I'm, you know, fairly at at ease with myself. I've been doing this for a long time, but I can only imagine that there's tons of cyclists where they get this shit and, you know, it just turns them off from cycling. So it was pretty, like the DK was really pivotal in lots of ways because like, okay, if I'm feeling like this, there's got to be a ton of other cyclists that are either enthusiasts, have no interest in racing, and they somehow feel like abandoned by, you know, the big cycling complex. And that's when we really like kind of double down on, you know, supple life, party pace, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
No, it needed a name because when you think of cycling, you think of racing. So like it needed something so people could rally around. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with that. Like I tried to do Grinduro last year and I didn't make the whole, like I got timed out, you know, but like me and my buddy Mario did it and I called it, they had the Grindito and the Grinduro and we kind of like landed somewhere in the middle. So I just called it the Grindito Plus. Like that was what we did. You know, like we still did 5,000 feet of climbing in like 50 miles or whatever it was. But like I was like, but we didn't do 8,060 miles. Like that's, you know, so you know.
Yeah, and somehow like you have to feel bad about that. Like I
don't know. But like we still saw Ted King at the last checkpoint eating snacks with us. Like it's fine. Like we were right there with him. You know, granted, I skipped 30 miles and he was that much ahead of me. You know, that's it.
Yeah. So we got a question here from a Velo Studio. I'm curious what you guys will say. What advice would you give to a new YouTube bike channel? He just hit 100 subs.
Well, that's already headed in the right direction. It took me a long time, I think, to hit 100. An unreal amount of time to hit 1,000. 10 felt like it was never going to happen. 20 was not even in my mind. 30, which I'm sure will also happen. You know, I guess just the content that you're making, if you're enjoying doing it, you will find your audience. Like, keep making it. Get better audio if you can. Mess with lighting. Like I move lighting around here constantly, and then if in the edit doesn't use it anyway. Like if it helps your story, use it, and then delete all your footage, and
commit, full commit,
and then make the next one. Like once you're done your video, like don't think about it anymore. Like go to the next one, because your opinion on something that you made a year ago will probably change. You know, maybe try and recall that in the next video you want to make about that subject. But definitely don't lose your mind about it. Like, don't worry about being a hypocrite a year later. It's totally fine. I do it all the time.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's true. Like kind of what I harped on before is like it's got to be a passion for you. If you don't absolutely love it, like there's YouTube channels I stumble upon that have great content that have 10 subscribers, you know, and it's just if it hits just right or it does really well, like you know we all have videos that hit and do extremely well, and then we have stuff that we think that are going to do well and they don't hit very well. So I think it's something where you have to know that everything you're going to create is going to be on this potential pendulum scale of success or waste of time, quote unquote. And as long as you're okay with that, I think you're going to do fine. I think as long as you're willing to create and pump content, and I think for me and YouTube in general, especially now, it's all consistency. You know, it's all like I work a full-time job. I create weekly content. That's what I do. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I love this sport. And yes, it grants me opportunities because I've done it for so long. But I feel like that's kind of you're paying it forward initially so that you eventually can get cool things on the way back. Like, you know, Russ, you're doing a ton of cool bikes. Like that's because you've been doing it for so long. We've all been doing it for this long, and we've all gotten, you know, some company or somebody's reciprocated that in some capacity, whether that's free product or product review or whatever. You do it for that, but that's not the goal initially. And if it is, you're not in the right platform. In my opinion.
It's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
Especially now.
Yeah, I think you know, definitely like viewing it as like a marathon and not a sprint. Mm-hmm. And also realizing that you're going to make a ton of crappy videos. Like I'm coming up to about 900 videos on the channel, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel like I got comfortable on camera until like video 700.
Right.
You know? So it's just a matter of like making all those mistakes, and, you know, you're not making like a feature film. You know, I think a lot of people, you know, when they get into it, they're like, oh, everything's got to be dialed, you know, slow-mo, gimbal, all this stuff. At the end of the day, you know, I think the content trumps the production value. If you can get the message across, if it speaks to the people, then that's more important. Yes. But also, like, one thing that's kept me sane is because if you try to equate the value of your channel and the value of content that you're making to how much money you're making on the channel,
it'll kill you.
It'll kill you.
Yeah. Never. Yeah.
So that there's no correlation to that. But like what keeps me going is like I think of the person that could potentially be super stoked on bikes, but gets all this, you know, shit talked down onto them for whatever reason, and I want to try to be their advocate. And knowing that there are people out there, and you know, they'll write in and say, "Oh, thanks for making that video." That's what, you know, just keeps it going.
Yeah, that is a good feeling.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know that it had hit me probably until like the last year. The amount of, and I hate this word, but let me use it. Like, I didn't realize how much influence like my videos had over people. And like there's me, and then there's like the bikes are characters. Like I'm pretty sure if I tried to sell the Ronster Cross now, that like my viewers would like show up with like fire and like picks, and they'd be like you're not getting rid of that bike. Like it's the reason that I bought a Tricross, stripped the paint off it, painted the fork black, and sent you a picture of it. Like the amount of like cool ass copies like that are like either built with Shimano or like something else, just like slightly different than the Ronster Cross that I built, that they're like, I love that bike. I had to have a Tricross. I built one. Like I built what you have. I hope you're not mad. And I'm like, this is so cool.
No,
like,
I got that the other day with the Poseidon X. I had somebody like direct message me on Instagram. He's like, bro, bought this because of your review. I'm like, awesome, dude. Like, awesome. Like, cool. You know, and he'll send me pictures of like, or like I followed him because I was like, yeah, man, awesome. And I'll you know, it's a weird like compliment, I think, in this industry. Like we've all done, you know, there's a few bikes that we've all shared, you know, or videos for, but it's all different perspectives. But it's like, it's such a weird thing that we're like, we have that voice, because everything now, like consumable wise, like, what do you say? Oh, I'm going to YouTube it. Like that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to learn anything. I'm going to YouTube it. Like that's
right. Yeah, that's right.
So here's a question for you guys. So like the kind of the big elephants in the room in terms of like YouTube channels, for cycling YouTube channels, is like GCN, you know, Bike Radar. Like how do you, like what do you learn from them, and do you like purposely make your stuff different from GCN to differentiate, or, you know, or does it even enter your mind?
It used to. It doesn't anymore.
Yeah.
Like I get my influence on everything I make from other different types of channels. Like I'll watch like Cletus McFarlane. He's like a car guy.
Oh, love
like,
that guy. Yeah.
I'll watch his stuff and be like, okay, I want to get a group of friends together. I want to like have a weird race on like crappy bikes. And then like I'll be watching a Mr. Beast video and I'm like, when I have a spare $1,000, I'm making everybody like race their road bikes on like a mud climb, and whoever gets to the top gets the $1,000. Like, like
we'd all love to have that kind of like, yeah, we'd all love
I want to do stuff like that. Yeah. And like, that is not a GCN thing. Like, that's like I'm a YouTuber. I'm not a like TV,
personality
product guy, right? Like I'm like, I love all YouTube content. I watch so much mindless YouTube content that like is not at all cycling related. As a matter of fact, I'd probably watch very little cycling content in comparison to what I truly do consume through YouTube. Like just like weird skit stuff, like, and I'm like, I'd love to incorporate some of that into my channel in like a vlog format that is entertaining, that like people try and remember something from, with a terrible title. If it had good information in it, they're never going to find it again.
How about you, Mike? How does GCN play into your content strategy?
I think originally it did, not gonna lie, because like they really produced stuff that was how-tos, and that was kind of my bread and butter in the beginning. But now, like, the one thing that we all kind of benefit from in its own capacity, and everybody's at their own facet of this, is like GCN doesn't do reviews. They do paid promos for high-end bicycles that we're never going to touch. Granted, no offense, like you get the bear claw with the Axis, like you get some nice stuff every once in a while, but realistically, like we're not going to get mainstream, brands that are going to come to us, and which is unfortunate because I think we are the everyman consumer. I think it'd be smart for them to do that, but I get it for the return on investment. I think that realistically, we offer a service that people, I hope, can correlate with, that we are the average cyclist at any capacity. We are all at different fitness levels. And, I know me and Russ reviewed the event in Quixote. That was like one bike that we, and then obviously, me and Eric that did the beside next. So we've all had like crossover bikes and give our own perspective, and it's very different. And I think that's really where this platform shines, that we're not this huge conglomerate of production or people or whatever. We are us. We are what we're doing and what we're producing. So it's a very honest thing. And I think that's really where, when you're going to YouTube it, that's what you're looking for, And so I think that GCN provides a lot of great information, but they do lack still on certain avenues of information or style of video, because they can't do it because they are a money-driven channel.
For sure. Yeah, like I think I was thinking of like I did that whole series, The Cave of Bad Ideas, where where I'm basically like destroying SRAM derailleurs, and like that's something that they could never do.
Right.
So I tend to think of like, okay, what's the content like, a GCN, a Bike Radar, cycling tips just can't do, because they're taking money from the industry. They do sponsored videos.
Oh my God! Somebody just commented, GCN is like the Top Gear in the 70s. Holy! Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Thank you, Rick H. That was awesome. Sorry, that was awesome.
And for us, like we were sponsored cyclists by Salsa, like very loosely sponsored. We're like the least athletic, like Salsa sponsored cyclists a couple years ago. And we actually told them, like, I don't think we can do this anymore. Like our YouTube channel we want to talk about other bikes, and we don't
Yeah.
want to have our hands tied, and like we can't talk about salsa all the time. It's just there's such it's just not going to be good for us. And we're still friends with them, and they said cool, they'll still send this product, but it's not like on the official basis. So that's an instance where we were like, well, sponsorship is actually a little bit more of a detriment, because it prevents you from talking about things in a certain way. And I know, like, when we've approached certain brands about reviewing things, they'll be like, well, are you sponsored? Because there's this whole kind of like weird puzzle thing of like different brands work together, and if you're sponsored by this brand, then you can't touch any products from this family. And we're like, nope, no sponsorship. And they're like, okay, cool.
So you guys actually like reach out to companies?
I do. Yeah.
I mean, I can only do so many things to my poor Crest bike.
Right. Yeah. I guess I just feel like I'd be like, oh, the audacity of this like YouTuber wants what? He wants to do what with it?
I think that's something that's a very delicate deal, especially for, let's say, the commenter who has 100 subscribers. I think this is something that I only reach out to companies that like a product that I would probably or most likely or would buy, because I am genuinely interested in the product. Now, there's a lot of that, as all of us as cyclists, like we all find cool stuff that we're like, oh yeah, man, I would totally buy that, And unfortunately, we're all not, YouTube millionaires, so we can't go do all that on our own. So yeah, you need the supplemental, either income via whatever Patreon or merchandise, or the companies that send stuff to you. So I think that at the end of the day, I only hit up companies that I'm interested in working with because I like their product, or they're providing a product that fills a gap I feel in the industry. And that creates beautiful relationships. Like, and there's some that like for instance, like Redshift, I reached out to them to send me a stem, loved it. And then I knew they came out with a seat post. Didn't hit them up for the seat post because I knew they were on Kickstarter and they were doing pre-orders or whatever. They emailed me saying like, hey, we're going to send a review unit. We have some now. Where do you want us to send it? That was really cool because they liked the video that I produced and they wanted to talk to me because they liked what I, the video review that I produced for their stem. That was really cool. And that's, I think, where it really bodes well. And I don't like have a PO box or anything for like companies just to like send stuff to. So now it just ends up in my email, and it's typically stuff that either I don't want to review if I get it, or it's like, and there's sometimes where there's some cool stuff. Like I've had some decent success with Amazon products, like that have videos that have done super well for the company, but it's hit and miss. And I just kind of filter through everything.
Yeah. It's kind of it's a weird relationship because to some extent, we're kind of reliant on the industry to help supply things to make videos about. Best case scenario is I'd love to be able to buy everything outright. And I did that with like the box components, just to keep it on the level, because I think, I feel like I can review something that's been sent like objectively, it's kind of like, it's like when they do like wine tasting competitions, just because like the dude didn't buy the glass of wine doesn't mean he can't talk about it in whatever nuanced way. And that's why I view bike products. It's like, it's cool that they sent it. If it's a bike, I'm going to send it back unless I buy it. But I feel like, I've reviewed enough bikes that it's not like, ooh, something new. I got to say something positive about it. It's like,
Yeah. Eric, how do you get products?
I very rarely get products. I just chalked it up to like me. I don't know. Maybe companies just don't want to work with someone like me who produces the videos I produce, and I understand that. Like friends of mine have always been like, "Wow, you're awfully brutally honest about that one, huh?" Yeah, I guess sort of. I don't know. like sometimes it's a little bit for humor, like other times, like, I don't know, in my mind, you know, anytime people ask me about products anyway, I'm like, anything from a pretty reputable company is probably pretty good.
Yeah.
Like most bikes are pretty good.
Yeah.
Like most drivetrains are pretty good. Like
Right.
if you're buying something from a company that has managed to survive for 10 to 15 years, yeah, like they've done it because like their product doesn't suck.
Yeah.
Or like someone is putting a lot of money into them to keep their crappy product alive. That would be a real bummer if you bought that. But I tend to think that that's probably not the case.
Yeah, I don't think bike companies can afford to make a truly like shitty bike.
Yeah,
You
like,
know? It's like, especially now. I mean, it would be just
too much.
yeah.
Yeah, unless you're talking Walmart, like that's where they're just paying to put somebody's name that maybe some old geezer is going to recognize, so they buy the bike for their kid. Like that's
Right.
Yeah, that was a good one. Like, even like even those, if the people who put them together, you
if they knew what they were doing, yeah.
knew what they're doing, like you can make those work
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
You know, you can certainly get hurt on one.
Sure, Madame Grandma, yeah.
Like,
All right,
but,
so so YouTube chat, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. I'm going to scroll through real quick. Here's a good one from Alex. What bike do you folks really want to try that's out on the market that you haven't had a chance to try, but if they said, here's a bike to review, you would say, hell yeah.
I want to ride the Fairdale rocket ship really, really bad. Like, I know it's going to be great. It's just it's a 4130 steel frame, through axle, NV fork. I just build it with whatever. But like Taj, an old BMXer, IBMX, I want to ride that bike. Like, I want to own one. It's been on the market forever. I know that there's nothing wildly special about it. I just know that there's like a level of, I love that this frame set for what you get is like $700. Like, that's something I could get behind. I want to ride that, and I'd love to push it, and it not break, because it wouldn't break. I like that.
Yeah.
For me, I like weird stuff. So like I'd either want to try like the evil Shami Hagar. And I know. Hey, I see your face, Eric. I see it. I know I'm probably gonna hate it, but like I want to try it. I just want to try it. Like that's it. Like that's one of the bikes that it got so I saw it at Grinduro. It was literally at the Grinduro I was at. That was where like whoever product tested it or whatever they were doing, or worked for the company. I don't know, but I saw so much cool, weird stuff and weird tech at that show. And the race, that there was frame builders there that had full suspension, or at 110 120 mil forks on their gravel bikes, because they would suspension correct their steel frames for it. A lot of cool stuff. That was just really really out there. I think that's the next wave of stuff that I would like to see, of just like the translation of what people think gravel is going to be.
Right.
That's really where I'd like to be at, because I'm no expert bike handler or cyclist in general, but that's something that I would enjoy seeing. What does this feel like? What do you think we're going to do? I think everybody's got their very interesting solution between Louth, Redshift, and a rigid setup, or whatever, and tire clearance, or mountain bike head angles. That it's such a weird, interesting market that's developing in all these different kind of facets that I would love to be a part of.
Russ,
Yeah.
what do you?
I've been curious about the Shami Hagar. Like, I have opinions. Like we came up with one of the things I tried to come up with this past year was our bicycle flavor wheel. So, taking trail number and associating it with, adjective and stuff. And looking at the numbers, like, you know, I have a sense of how it would ride, and I'd love to see if riding it kind of confirms, you know, those instincts.
I think it would.
Okay, now we have to ask what adjective it would hit and where would it fall? Like, that's what I want to, I'm kind of putting you on the spot, but like, we have to know.
Well, in terms of like climbing, like the adjective would be drunken goat.
Okay, got it. All right.
But in terms of descending, super stable. So I don't know. Yeah, like gravel's an interesting space. I feel like it's splitting very quickly now into like two major camps, right? Like, so road / cross inspired, then more mountain bike inspired. You know, what's going to win? Or is there an answer?
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, I tend to like, what attracted me to gravel was kind of like underbiking, you know, having like slightly inappropriate bike, but you know, like with the wide tires. I'm a thought where like I prefer not to have like any moving active suspension, but just have it in the tire, and just, you know, that's part of the fun, is like, you know, it's not the perfect bike, or it's not too much bike for the terrain. So.
I agree with that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean that's what inspired the build series I'm doing now, for sure. Is the monster gravel. Like the frame set I'm working with is the Cobalt Warhawk, and it clears a 700 by 50 and a 650B by, they say 2.1, I think 2.2, but that's just me. But it has all the bike packing mounts. It has everything I could want, minus one or two little niggles of things that I would love. But it's just, why not? You know, it's this weird thing where, you know, 650 by 47 is such the kind of hard mark for these big companies. Mm-hmm. And it's the little companies that are pushing those boundaries that can make everything better for let's call it the average cyclist. Or what was yours? The student cyclist? What was it?
That's what my channel used to be.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, exactly. Like that's what it is. Like, that's, you know, like, look, we're all not Ted King, and we all can't like hammer down, you know, a gravel brick road, you know, at 30 miles an hour. So yeah, I want a little more tire clearance than that, like, than he's got. But
you know what, guys? This year, no one is racing. Everyone's an average cyclist.
Some are just highly more fast average cyclists. Yeah. Not being officially timed.
This is king right now. Yeah.
Yeah. Once I started seeing like all the, you know, all the big races canceled, I'm like, what are these? What the heck is GCN gonna make videos about for the next like 4 months? Or what's Velo News? Yeah, what's Velo News gonna report on? Or, you know, it's like so much of the bike industry is propped up by racing and the competitive side. It's like, oh crap, now we just got to make up stuff.
How to put a jersey on like a pro. I mean, there's a lot of things.
A lot of everything's on Zwift now.
Yeah, all these Zwift videos. But I can't help but feel like they will likely start to look at channels like ours. And I don't like, yeah, there's 3 of us here, but there are names that pop up every day with content that I'm like, oh, I would click on that. Yeah. Their biggest hindrances, I don't recognize that name. I'm like, well, that's not Russ's channel. I don't have time. Like that's unfortunate. But that, you know, until I've seen someone's like name come up in like as a video enough times, like different ones, I'm like, okay, who is this? Like, now I need to check. And I know people do the same to me, and I know they would do the same to you guys. But like, there's a lot to choose from. Guaranteed there's someone out there making better content than probably all of us. And someone just needs to.
What are you talking about? What? Who are these people? Who are these people?
And GCN and like Bike Radar and all them. You know, they have huge followings anyway, but when they're going to be looking for ideas, they'll find the channels that are making great content, and be like, okay, that, like, right. And we're so much bigger.
And I think we all have, the cool thing about all this is what I love about it, besides us all drinking together, is that it's all different aspects of cycling, and it's all different, like delivery, you know, like Eric, you have this great kind of vlog style content to your every video that you have,
All of them.
you know, all of it, and it's awesome. You know, Russ, you kind of meld the two. You do the vlog and the review, and I'm predominantly review, and you know, I do some cycling vlogs, but they're few and far between. But it's this different look on cycling as a whole.
Yeah.
You know, and there's other cycling, you know, YouTubers that are out there that, you know, that do their own look or style or whatever. But I think it's this interesting perspective on, I like when it's similar content, because it's the little idiosyncrasies or perspective on what we're looking at. And that's really where, in my eyes, it really shines, because it's true perspective. It's realistically where, look, all of us are human beings. We all like to ride bikes, and this is what we think.
Yeah.
That's it.
So who else do you guys watch? I'm curious.
Do you guys watch Rides of Japan?
Yes.
I do.
His content is so good.
The production value is fire.
It's too much. I'm just like,
it's so good.
I watched the first video I watched of his. I was like, okay, I got to learn how to do like better product shots.
No. Okay, no, you have to get out of your shed. You have to buy a studio space so you can do everything.
Something. I was like, okay, how do you do this like backlighting thing? Like it was terrible.
No, I respect him as a cinematographer. That's what the word I'm going to use for him. And if anybody else, because he literally makes, like, his last video was amazing. It was all about a chain ring.
I mean, like he could do
I loved it. It was amazing. It was super good. To where he was legit like showing it well, documented it well, explained the whole process, and it was shot beautifully.
It's
like
so good.
That's where like we all could do that, but like, you know, he's at this point where it's like expected of it. And Russ, I loved your it was one of your presentations I watched. I think it was a live or something on your YouTube about being, I think you said, good enough with like
how to be a mediocrely successful YouTuber.
But I swear to God, that was the best sentence out of the whole thing. Because I was like, yeah, no, he's right. Like, where we all talked about it earlier, we can all create videos that we spend hours and hours and hours perfecting, have no idea what it's going to relate to.
Mm-hmm.
But finding that happy medium of like, okay, this is a good enough time to make quality content, but it's not like overly analyzed or overly blown up, because realistically the views are going to be the views. That's really where like that kind of melds together. But like where he's at, if it's not that kind of level, like I'm gonna,
I don't think people would like it as much, maybe.
Yeah, no, but I mean, he does quality but minimal content, but the content that he creates is great.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So you fall into one or two camps, you know, and potentially, you know, you have your daily vloggers that are in the car industry or whatever they're in, or like you are right now prior to the re-implement, that you can only do so much
in a day.
So your content is going to suffer a little bit.
It has to.
Like, I kind of like the lower production feel, because there's like a authenticity to it, and also like if you build the channel or your brand on like production quality, there's always going to be someone else that's going to have better production quality.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, it's all about creating the connection with your viewer, either through your personality or just your style. So I'm like, good enough where it communicates a message, doesn't look ugly, sounds good, and hopefully what's really attracting the viewer is the thoughts, the ideas, the feels, all that stuff.
Perfection is the biggest hindrance to good enough. Like, just if it looks, exactly. I agree wholeheartedly.
I'm a bit, so like one person I watch that what is that? Do you guys know Zach Gallardo?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I met him. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's like his was one of the first channels I saw where it was kind of like this extended monologue with B-roll. And I was like, you can do that and people will watch that.
Oh. Yeah,
yeah. He's so like, you know, he's really articulate, well-spoken. Like, I don't know if you saw his, he did a video on like steel, you know, all the different types, like the tubing, the budding, and the air hardened, all that stuff. I was like, oh, that's like the best explanation of, you know, different steel tube types. So he was like a real inspiration. It's like, oh, you can just talk to the camera, and as long as what you're saying is interesting, then people will watch. You don't have to do all these smoke and mirrors and these jump cuts and drone shots and everything.
Yeah, no, he's a cool guy. Me and him met. We did a video together in San Francisco. We both had the same bike for a short period of time. As an all-city nature boy.
Yeah.
And so no, it was hilarious because like we both have very different styles. So it was like trying to shoot together. Like that's why I put the bloopers video on my channel, because it goes hilarious. Because he's very scripted. He's eloquent as all hell. And I just talk. Like that's how it felt. And so he was like, "What do you mean you don't have this written down?" I'm like, "No, man, we're just talking about our bikes. Like, you own it. Like, let's do this." Well, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, all right. Well, it's fine, you know. And like, but he started his thing because I stopped doing fix-here stuff because I couldn't. I tore a ligament in my leg and I couldn't skid, no brakes anymore. Like that was just the deal.
All right.
And it was really cool to see this different aspect of it, and that's why I love this platform and like what we're doing right now. Like this is awesome conversations. I'm assuming if no one else wants to hear it, I want to hear it, you know?
Yeah. It's therapy, man. This is bike YouTuber therapy.
Okay. Russ, you need to do this weekly.
Right.
Therapy, and it's going to be all three of us. Like, that's what's
We'll bring in a special, we'll have Zach on next time.
I could picture Zach being part of this whole conversation. Like, we almost should have messaged him. And been
I know. Yeah.
But like, he's also in Tokyo or something like that right now.
Yeah.
The time difference here is already weird enough.
Oh, I know. I used to travel to China. I don't know. He's probably 16 hours ahead. So yeah, he's just in a different day. But we
just whatever.
Right.
Obviously, we watch Dustin Klein. There's like probably a couple people on here who are like, I wonder why Dustin isn't wearing his glasses right now.
I saw that. To be honest, I saw it. I did.
No, Dustin and I are not brothers, and we're not twins. No. Yes, we do steal each other's content. Yes.
Are you the non-Chrome sponsor, Dustin? Is that
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
There's one. I actually watched it. There were two kind of roadie channels I watched a fair amount. One was this guy named Jesper V something, I don't know. I think he was like a Dutch road racer.
Yeah.
But what I liked about him was he was one of the first that I saw that would ride actively with a GoPro and still make it compelling, and like, you know, the sound wasn't shit. And I was like, oh, you can do that. Also, like I watched Ginger Runner. He's more of like a running channel, but he did like these running adventures. I was like, I never thought I would be so fascinated by some guy like running with a GoPro, but he does a really good job with storytelling. And thinking of how, like, you know, I can apply that to cycling videos.
Right.
What about I forgot his last name, Cameron something?
Yeah, he blew up. He's like he's huge now.
Yeah, like his stuff is crazy. I mean, he does stuff that like I wish I could do. He'll like the last video I saw, he threw a dart on a map and was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go right there." Like,
and it was a sponsored video. That was a sponsored video. He got paid to do that.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's. I think he was a Zwift. I think there was some controversy around him, but from what I remember, he was a Zwift athlete and was the first like Zwift, like, you know, they do like the e-games or whatever for like video games, like, you know, Modern Warfare, Fortnite, whatever. He was like the version of that with Zwift. And then I don't know if he lost his title or something. There's some controversy around him. But then like he started doing like these really rad videos where he would just go, like he's sponsored by like 4 or 5 different companies. And he goes and does this awesome stuff that I would kill to do. You know, like
Yeah.
he was like, oh yeah, I'll throw this dart on a map and go ride. Or Wahoo sponsor me. They send me a kicker. I go ride for 24 hours on my bike. Like, all right, cool. Like,
Right.
you know, whatever. Like, I don't know. It's weird how certain things will hit, you know, and that'll get you opportunities.
Francis Cade.
Oh yeah.
You guys watch him or not?
Yeah.
That was a similar moment for me with like someone riding on their bike, stopping to talk, and people watching it. Like
Right.
that was my, like people will watch this moment.
I don't get how he actually carries his whole camera setup because I know what it is.
It brings
That looks painful, man. Like,
Okay, so I'm working on a video right now for all the live people of like my favorite vlog camera setup, and it's the smallest thing ever. Homeboy has an A7 full frame camera with a whatever lens, you know, G map lens and the mic and the whole bit, and he's carrying it on his back, and I'm like, yeah, his videos look like a movie because he's carrying $3,000 of camera on his back. Like that's anybody's gonna look that good.
Yeah.
You know, like hang on, I'm gonna go get it. This is what's gonna happen. my camera, like this is what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I've switched primarily to just GoPros now for ride videos because it's like I could ride like that, but it's just, to me, it's not worth it.
Well, I've like my Canon that I used
This
to
is
shoot.
it.
I had.
Is that the Osmo or what is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is it. Like everything minus like POV, like chest mount shots. This is what I use, and that's why. But I respect him, Francis, for doing that. But man, that is so much camera to carry around.
I couldn't do it. Like I crashed way too much to be carrying. Like I had my Canon on my back in a video. I went mountain biking. I went over the bars. I landed on a rock on my camera, and I was like, well, that sucks. And now like the microphone jack was all messed up on it. Like I can't shoot with a mic anymore. And I'm like, well, I don't have $800 to buy a new camera, so I guess I'm shooting with janky audio for the next year and a half.
Like that's why I'm producing this video, because again, like inspired by everybody, like everybody shoots different, but like I did this because of a reason. Like I found a solution for what I think is the hardest way to vlog, as much as I hate that word. Like we all have to do it.
Yeah.
But it's like, what is the way to be the least, like the least affected by it? Like if you have to carry a big old camera, you have to carry multiple batteries, you're trying to hold this big old thing behind you and trying to balance that while riding. Like you want to make it as easy as possible, because we're not just walking around talking about we're going to Chipotle. Like we're doing things. Like we're trying to balance a bicycle. We're trying to ride. Like you don't want to have to do that, you know? And so I think that's where I'm trying to now, obviously being COVID-19 at home, create content for that, because it's all we're trying to do, you know, and it's all perspective. Like Russ, like your GoPro session footage, like I'm like, I need to get one. Like I need to find one. I need to find something that's small, because that would be great. Like that's essentially it.
Like so when we did the DK, that was one of the big things. It's like, okay, we're going to be already doing this thing that's physically taxing and difficult.
Yeah.
And we want to make a YouTube video about it. Like there's no way I'm carrying a DSLR on that. You know, we don't, you know, it's not like GCM. We don't have like a film crew following us.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's just going to be all action cam. And then we'll do, you know, a shot in the hotel and do monologue and B-roll over it.
Yeah.
And that was like the best strategy. My current favorite on the ride camera is actually like the Sony Action Cam from like 5 years ago.
Oh, that, yeah.
It's got the best audio. Out of all that, you don't need like the media mod. It's got, you know, good enough stabilization. It shoots wide. The colors are pretty good. And the biggest thing is that it turns on when you want it to, and it turns off when you want it to. Like
simple things.
Yeah, I've got a GoPro 7 and it hangs up like all the time. So I use the Sony as like the primary like vlogging camera.
Yeah.
Send me a link.
No, I mean, I'm all over the map, dude. Like
Yeah.
that's why I worked on a video recently for it. It's going to be up in a few weeks. It's just, yeah, it's what I shoot with is very different than what I film with, like while moving, you know. And I think that's the thing. I think you can create so much different content based on the camera, and it's not all about it. It's a lot about the storytelling.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I've seen stuff that's done with all GoPro that is very captivating, and I've seen some like 10 seconds in, I'm like, I'm good. You know, like we've all seen both sides of it. You know.
Yeah, I'm kind of over. To me, I mean, I'm not a lot of people feel like this, but like when I see like too many drone shots and it's all like too pretty, then I kind of tune out. You know, it's just like, okay, where's the story? You know, what's the hook? Yeah.
There's like, I haven't been called out for it in a long time, but like, you know, I think the biggest basis for like when I started vlogging, I was watching a lot of Casey Neistat. I love that music. I love his editing style. I copy that like wholeheartedly, and then I layered on like 7 more people plus my personality, and it's become my own thing. But like learning from those like little lessons in like what he would say, where it's like, you know, there's a reason that you use a time lapse. Like there's a reason that you use a drone shot. Like it's not just plopped in the middle or at the beginning of something for no reason. It's like, this thought is done. There's another thought coming. If you can think to make that transition work half decent, you know, that's where you put these things. So like, if it helps with the story, yes. If it doesn't, nobody cares.
No, for sure.
So for Eric, for when you do your vlog styles where, you know, you start in one, let's say you start in the studio and then you finish the paragraph in like while you're writing, do you pre-plan that, or is that, how's that work?
Yeah, I mean, pre-plan. Yes, like usually like there'll be a night before, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna shoot tomorrow. Like, what does the end topic need to be about? I'm like, okay, I want to be like somewhat motivational. Like, what am I going to be motivational about? Okay, to be like here's why I don't think you should be worried about riding a crappy bike. So, you know, I'll go grab it and I'll be like, okay, I've been in here too long. Time to go somewhere else. So it's usually like on the fly, or I'm on my way to my office job and I'm already late. And I'm like, okay, I need to go. Like, I can't be in here because like my boss is going to watch this and he's going to know that I was vlogging in my shed at like 6:58, being like, oh, I should go. Like, that's real. When I say I'm late, like I'm late for work.
It's a good thing you have the clock in the background next to your Spindatt logo.
So yeah, like if there's like, if I'm moving a story along really quick, it's either someone has caught me vlogging, so I'm like, I'll be like, yeah, you know, bikes, and this bike is shifting like a potato. And someone will be like, oh. And then like I'll be gone like 2 kilometers down the road, and I'll be like, anyway, potatoes make great.
So do you guys still feel awkward like pulling out the camera in public?
Oh yeah.
It depends on where I'm at. Like at like a cycling event, no. I've been like oddly recognized. Like people are like, are you the Spindatt guy? And I'm like,
you're like, no, I'm Dustin Klein.
yeah, right. Get it right.
You should have got like, did you get like list for a product? Have you ever said you're Dustin? Come on. Let's break this down right here on the live chat. Like, you got the free bags or any free product because you said you're Dustin?
No.
No. Come on. Look at that smile. Like he's lying.
Yeah, there are public places where like it certainly is a little bit strange and bizarre. You do feel a little awkward, but like it's fun like to get started and then just keep going and like see the people walking around you that are like, what is this loser doing? And I'm like, you just wait. Be up on YouTube later.
It's gonna be art.
I promise.
Yeah, one thing I was really bummed about that got canceled this year was Sea Otter, because when we went to Sea Otter last year, it was a blast. We were running around with the camera, lots of people were familiar with the channel, got to interact with brands, and that's like one of the cycling events that I'm kind of bummed got canceled, because that would have been super fun to film.
Oh yeah, I did last year. I just did a few companies that I was working with at the time that, yeah, I totally wish it was, that was like the escape, it's out of the area for me. But yeah, it's, I mean, even Interbike, it's all kind of gone downhill essentially. At this point.
For sure.
But it's great when companies are innovating, but I think that now it's going to force them to do it.
Yeah.
Because they legitimately have to, because like there's no other way to be in the public eye. Sea Otter was such a cool event with the road racing and everything else and gravel riding, and it was super awesome.
Cool. Well, we've got let's hit our last two topics really quickly. We actually had a list of topics we're going to talk about. So one is what is your guys' favorite tire?
Mine still to this day, Panaracer Pasella.
What's any size or
38.
just 38?
Yeah.
WTB Venture.
Yeah.
I've ridden in the 47. I have a set of the WTB by Venture by 50Cs. That is going to be something I'm going to be reviewing soon. I'm just waiting to finish the bike that's hanging behind me. Just because everything's closed and I need some hydraulic brake help. So do
I.
Yeah, those are my favorite mixed condition. If I was going to ride one tire, predominantly gravel, that would be it.
Yeah. Mine is the Soma Cazadero in 650B by 50. And close second would be the Schwabe G1s, the ones with the little round nubbins.
Yeah, you like those?
Yeah, they're depends on the bike. Like they add a lot of they'll add a lot of trail to the bike depending on what it's on, so it can be a little bit too ruddery. But they're they're like a nice mountain bike light tire.
And my other favorite, if we want to get into it, is this Specialized Fast Tracks. In the 650, they make a 2.0 and a 2.2, so you obviously have to have a more progressive frame set for it. In a 2.2, they're 550 grams.
Oh wow!
They're super light.
That's pretty good.
Roll really well. They're an XC tire, but for like gravel, like that's kind of what you want. They're not making them anymore, as far as I can tell. They're really cheap. Like those tires are like $24 on eBay a piece for being super light. I've cut one, granted, like sliced it in half, but I would have cut it on anything else. I wrote over a piece of big old glass, like car glass.
Right.
But those for like a mountain XC tire, they're actually really good.
Have you guys ever? There's this one tire that was floating around a couple years ago. It was the Thorn Nomad, and it came in 700 by like 50, 700 by 40, and it basically looked like it was a smooth kind of file tread tan wall, and they were like $15 a pop. But like super supple. There could have been issues with flats, but they were.
Okay.
Okay, you know what? There's plenty of AliExpress tires I would love to try, but I would not trust. Okay, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. How about, okay, so final question, then we'll wrap it up, is what is the bike tech that you guys are most excited about?
So as of late, there's been some really exciting, interesting, kind of like less expensive, good looking, durable, inexpensive parts that are coming out, like things that you would be excited to ride at like our level of knowledge. There's always been inexpensive, good quality stuff, but like there's always been a level of like, you know, lackness in geometry. Like there's like that beginner geometry that you look at a bike and you're like, ah, I love the price, good build, but like not what I needed geometry wise. So I can't, like, I got to spend so much more to get geometry or get like a clutch trailer or something. You know, Microshift just came out with that 10-speed Advent, the Box Prime 9. Envy just came out with whatever those tier 2 wheels. Obviously very, very expensive still, but it's cool that a company at such a high price point like that is recognizing like, yeah, okay, people want our product, and they will go for our name at, you know, our reputation
versus
like, you know, going, you know, buying the thing. I don't know what
brand,
like what off-brand wheels would be 1,500 US right now, but I don't know, like I would go for the Envy, you know, $1,500 wheel over any off-brand, no matter what the eBay reviews say. Like,
yeah, there's so there's one wheel set that I've been really curious about. I've been trying to get a pair to review, but it's by Boyd, BOYD Cycling.
Yeah.
And it's a gravel wheel set. So 1,500 grams, which for alloy, which is light, and it's like the price point's like $700.
oh wow.
You know, yes, which is like
Hunt is the only one I think in that competes with them as far as like price and like weight. Because Hunt even offers like the Dynamo wheel set for like 1,800 grams, like built for like 600 or $700.
Wow.
But again, they're from England and they're hard to get, you know, stuff here. But yeah, no, I think that trend is really cool. To like you can have like personalized wheel sets that are affordable. Where that was
like they never have been before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Drivetrains and wheels have always been this like wildly expensive point of like, you know, brag, like something you could brag about on your bike. Like, yeah, I got red zips, you know, like those are the things that you saw on Instagram bikes that you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
Like that CAD 10 looks cool because it has so many upgrades.
Yeah.
Like the CAD 10 is no different than the one that I bought that still has Shimano RS 01s on it. But like, you know, look what you can do with it. And like, it's cool that the price of some of that stuff is going to come down to a point that's going to look good and perform that like someone like myself, who predominantly creates content around that subject, could build this like, baller ass stealth looking bike for like a fraction of the cost of what it used to be to get something like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm doing for my channel right now. It's like my monster gravel build. Like I'm gonna, if numbers are correct, granted I'm working currently on internet weight. If my numbers are correct, I should be able to get my Apex carbon build within half a pound, if not less, than the Access mold. Because if you look at the weights, those components weigh more. And the only thing I'm adding to it is cable housing, but I'm doing like the baller wire housing, like where it's like you know nothing. So and I'm only doing sections of housing, so it's like that's the thing is like it's can you be a cyclist that can enjoy every part of it without having to have like the bank account to support it. That's really like my focus is on this like build series.
Cool. Yeah, so I recently got to try the Axis mullet on the Bear Claw, and my first time using something with electronic shifting, and I mean it worked, but it better for that price tag, right? And I felt like it was I don't know, I forget if I said it in the video, but it felt like a electronic pencil sharpener. Like it did its task really well and efficiently. Maybe a little bit complicated, with all the electronics, but not, in terms of like value, not enough for me. I mean, it's almost like luxury pricing for the Access mullet system.
Yeah.
And like, if you're paying that much, it better like do my laundry and cook me breakfast, and make me coffee. But it doesn't. So I'm kind of interested in. Do you know about the Archer electronic shifting system?
Yeah, the little box. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a little bit intriguing. I mean, it doesn't look as refined as I would like, but I like the concept of being able to use any derailleur, turning it into electronic shifting with some kind of blip system. And it seems like you can program it. So let's say you get, because basically it's a servo motor that pulls cable.
Right.
And you can program how much it pulls per shift. So I could use it on like the box 9, it would be fine. And I could put on my 11-speed setup, it would still be fine. Because it's just programming, the cable pull. So that I'm pretty excited about. I don't know if I can buy it outright. It's a little spendy. We'll see. But I hope that.
Sorry, will it do trim? Like, will it trim for when
for like front derailleur or the rear?
For the rear, like, because Di2, even if it's off a little bit, it'll automatically, if it feels noise or if it feels any sort of like clicking, it'll just correct. I wonder if that.
I don't know if it's that sophisticated. It might be that you can just set individual, you can set the gap between shifts, but I don't know if it has like any auto sensing.
Right.
As far as what
right now. Yeah. So that's pretty interesting. I might try to write him an email and see if we can get one, just to try out. So. Let's see. Any other questions in the YouTube chat? So Justin Macy asked, Spindatt, what size rim and tire did you use for your X? I'm assuming.
Side X.
Yeah, side X.
They are Velocity Blunt SSs. I think they're 35 mil wide. They're wide. They're like really wide. Are they 32?
I believe they're 30. I used to have a set.
Yeah, because there's the blunt 35s. Yeah, so maybe they're 30 mil wide. They're wide though. Like that's probably about as wide as I feel you really need to go for. There's 45s on there right now for 700 by 45s.
We're probably gonna plump everything up by 2 mil if anybody's asking.
Cool. Let's see what else. TLL asked titanium forks ? Have you guys ridden a bike with titanium forks before?
Never.
Are you, Russ?
No. It's a rarity. Like I'm surprised there aren't more. So
because they'd be very springy and comfy. Like would they not? Like they would. Yeah.
It wouldn't feel racy enough. Dang it.
Yeah. It's not for me.
We're hard in races over here. That's it. Wait, okay, so Russ, I have to ask, steel, carbon, tie, favorite? As a package, you can meld and mix and match, but what is your favorite? Because you've ridden a lot.
I'd go all tie if I could. I mean,
Really?
it's so the gap between I feel like steel, like a nice steel and carbon is pretty big, and the gap between tie and nice tie and nice steel is not as big, but still noticeable. But it's I tend to like a softer bike. I mean, if someone wants a super knife edge feeling stiff bike, then they might hate tie.
Right.
When I rode that Bear Claw, one of the first adjectives that flew into my mind was mushy, but not in a bad way. It just felt like super plush. But if how I remember when high pressure narrow tires were a thing and that high frequency vibration was equated to speed.
Yes.
And then like you get a supple tire, and it's like, oh, but you're still going that's what I got out of the Thai bike. It's like, I looked at the speedometer, I was still going, my, slightly above average speed, not much above average, but it felt slower because it was overall just everything was so much more dampened.
Yeah. And you should, like, the result should be you being able to go further at that speed, correct? Like,
for sure. Yeah. I don't know if you guys saw my video with Josh from Silka, the Your Tires Are Lying to You video.
Yeah.
There's this whole part I cut out. So I'll tell you, because I asked him, I was like, okay, for decades, the bike industry has been, what do they say every year? The bike is, 5% lighter and 3% stiffer. At what point are you basically just riding a concrete block? And like with gravel, like stiffer isn't necessarily an asset. So now we're seeing things like suspension forks, all this stuff. Is the bike industry then gonna backpedal because of gravel? And he said, they did some testing with pros. He works with folks like Peter Sagan and Team Sky and EF Racing and stuff. They did a test with, they'll put a pro rider on two bikes, one that is super stiff and one that is like less stiff. And what they found was on the stiffer bike, the rider couldn't hit their same high wattage. And there was just something about the feedback of the bike that prevented them from like hitting max wattage, which I thought was interesting because the story's always been like, stiffer is always faster. And I think, stiffer is easier to measure, so it's easier to sell, but I think we've been misled essentially. And then we're going to see some backpedaling coming on in the next couple of years.
Sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
Cool. Well, let's see. I think, I don't know. That's it, guys. Do you guys have fun? We could do it again. We could work it out. So, each person becomes like the host on their channel. If you guys want to do that, we can figure out the logistics. Okay. So,
sure.
But
this is fun. It's certainly longer than the hour we thought we were going to be.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. Next time we should have another guest. We should probably rotate a guest. So we'll get like Zach on.
Yeah, if Zach wants to come.
Yeah.
There's invite. Invite anybody. Who would want to hang out with us?
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, I'll close this out. Thank you, Mike from LockedIn, Eric from Spindatt. If you're not familiar with their YouTube channels, you should definitely check them out. Subscribe. They are, in my opinion, fellow supple cyclists on the YouTube channel, exploring bikes beyond just all the racing and what have you. So if you like this content, don't forget to like, share, subscribe for each of us. And hopefully join us next week or next couple weeks, and we'll have another special guest. So till next time, guys, keep the supple side down.